All right, welcome back. So, last time, we totally nailed the personal pronouns, right? The ich, du, er, sie, the whole crew. But, they're kind of just sitting there. They can't actually do anything by themselves.
Which brings us to the big question, right? We've got our cast of characters all lined up, so what now? What do we do with them?
We make them do things, that's what. Today is all about verbs, the action words, and we're jumping straight into the deep end with the single most useful tense in German, the present tense, or what they call the Präsens. Seriously, if you get this down, you're well on your way. Let's do it. So, first things first, what exactly is the German present tense? Well, here's the cool part. Think of the Präsens as this amazing 3-in-1 multi-tool. It does the job of 3 different English concepts all by itself. For starters, you use it for things that are happening right this second. So if you want to say, I am learning German, you just say, Ich lerne Deutsch. Simple as that. Okay, number 2, you also use it for general facts or things you do regularly, like, I learn German as a hobby. And in German, guess what? It's the exact same sentence. Ich lerne Deutsch. The situation or context makes it clear which one you mean. And third, and you're going to love this, it's a total game changer for beginners, you use it to talk about the future. To say, I will learn German tomorrow, you just stick with the present tense and pop in a time word. The magic ingredient here is morgen, which means tomorrow. So you get, Ich lerne morgen Deutsch. How easy is that? Brilliant. All right, so we get what it does. Now let's figure out how to actually do it. We're getting into the main event, regular verbs. The process is called conjugation, which, I know, sounds super technical, but really it's just a fancy way of saying we change the end of the verb so it matches who's doing the action.
Think of it like a simple 3-step recipe. Step 1, you start with the infinitive. That's just the basic to do something version of the verb, like lernen, to learn. Step 2, you find the stem by just chopping off that en at the end. So lernen becomes learn. Easy. In step 3, you just tack on the right ending for whoever we're talking about.
And here they are, the endings you'll need to know. Now this is the part you'll want to commit to memory. Let's walk through them. For ich, you add an a. Ich lerne. For du, it's st. Du lernst. For er, sie, es, you just add a t. Er lernt. With wir, we add an. Wir lernen. For ihr, you guys, it's t again. Ihr lernt. And finally, for sie and the formal sie, it's back to an. Sie lernen. I know it looks like a lot, but there are some awesome patterns here. Okay, don't panic. Let's look for the shortcuts because there are some really good ones. First off, check this out. The wir and zzz forms, they're exactly the same as the infinitive. That's a huge win. And look here, er, sies, and ihr, they both end in that same little t. See? Finding these patterns is the key to making this stuff stick. Okay, let's keep building on this. Now, sometimes when you follow the rules perfectly, you end up with a word that's, well, just plain awkward to say. So German has these really smart, logical little spelling tweaks to make things sound better. Let's take a verb like arbeiten, which means to work. The stem is arbeit. Now, if you just added st for do, you'd get arbeitst. Go on, try saying that. It's a tongue twister, right? So the solution is super simple. German just pops in an extra e to smooth it out. So you get du arbeitst and er arbeitet. Ah, much better. It's the same idea for verbs where the stem already ends in an s sound, like s, beta, or z. Take heißen, to be called. The stem is heiß. It already has that s sound. So adding another s with the st ending would just be silly. So what does German do? It just adds a t. Du heißt. It's efficient. Okay, you've totally got the regular verbs down. Now it's time to level up to the next big category, irregular verbs. And the most common kind you'll run into are called stem-changing verbs. And the name tells you exactly what they do. The vowel right there in the middle of the stem, it changes. Now, before you think, oh no, more rules, let me give you the one golden rule for these verbs. Write this down, tattoo it on your brain. Only the du and er, sies forms change. That's it. Everything else, ich, wir, ihr, sie, stays completely, 100% regular. This rule is your best friend. And the good news is, for beginners, you really only need to worry about 3 main patterns for this vowel change. An A might become an A, an E might become an O, or an E might become an ia. That's basically the whole playbook right there. Let's see how it works. Okay, pattern number 1 with the verb fahren, to drive. Ich fahre, totally regular. But now watch what happens with du and That A gets an umlaut and becomes ä. So you get du fährts and fährt. And then, just like our golden rule promised, we're right back to normal for wir fahren and ihr fahrt. See? No surprises.
Next up, our second pattern. An E changes to an I. Let's use sprechen to speak. Ich spreche is regular, no problem, but for du and that E flips to an I. Du sprichst, spricht. And then, poof, back to regular for everyone else. It's always just those two forms that get weird.
And our last main pattern for today, E changes to IE. A great example is lesen, to read. Ich lese is regular, but the du form becomes du liest, and the zs form is also liest. And then you already know what's coming, right? Wir lesen and ihr lest are totally normal. That golden rule is solid as a rock.
All right, last but certainly not least, we've got to talk about the two biggest superstars of the German language. These are the verbs you'll use constantly. Sein, to be, and haben, to have.
Now, these two, they're in a league of their own. They basically threw the rule book out the window, so these are ones you just have to memorize. There's no way around it. Let's start with sein, to be. It goes, ich bin, du bist, ist, wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind. Just drill this one over and over. It's absolutely essential.
And here's its partner, haben, to have. It's a little more predictable, but it definitely has its own unique twists. We've got ich habe, but then look, du hast and hat. See how they're a little different? Then it's back to wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben. Again, this is another one to just burn into your memory.
And that's a wrap. Whew, okay, that was a ton of information, I know. But think about what we just did. We covered regular verbs, those little spelling fixes, the 3 big patterns for stem changers, and the 2 absolute titans of German, sein and haben. You have just learned the absolute core of how German verbs work. That's huge.
So, here's your mission should you choose to accept it. Get comfortable with those regular verb endings, and really get to know the charts for sein and haben. Why? Because next time, in Lesson 6, we're going to take those 2 verbs and start putting them to work to build all kinds of cool sentences. Thanks so much for sticking with me, and I'll see you then.